Why doesn't the church sell all its stuff and give the money to the poor? You think of the great art that is in the Vatican Museum. Why doesn't the church just sell this, give the money to the poor, and therefore do God's work that way? So we're going to look at this question, and we're going to look at it at St. Anthony's Church here in Dartmouth, where Archdiocese and indeed our parish, Our Lady of Guadalupe, have partnered to provide some temporary housing for people who are currently unhoused. And so we're going to take a look at that. We're going to check out these cool new dwellings, and while there, I'll hopefully offer a response to this question. Thanks for checking in. So why does the Catholic Church not simply sell Michelangelo's Pieta, for example, and give the money to the poor? Well, I think there's two reasons. One fairly practical, and the other pretty theoretical. The fairly practical reason is that it's a bit like saying, why wouldn't we kill the goose that lays the golden eggs and then feed the poor with the meat from that goose? Well, the reason why we don't do that is because we want the golden eggs. The Pieta, the Sistine Chapel, all these things, they're golden eggs that are constantly being laid as the millions of people, before COVID at least, who come to the Vatican as tourists and put huge amounts of money into the church's coffers, money that helps make the church the single largest charitable organization in the world. Let me repeat that. The Catholic Church is the single largest charitable organization in the world, not because it's the richest. For example, the endowment of Harvard would dwarf the church's money, yet the church dwarfs the charitable work of Harvard or indeed any other organization. Why can it do this? Well, it does this in part because of the golden eggs that the art and architecture represent, the golden eggs that comes from tourists every single year. So it would be economically stupid to sell the Pieta or the Sistine Chapel and have them shacked up in Jeff Bezos' bathroom, because these are the engines that drive money, which ends up in the pockets and on the tables of poor people the world over. That's pretty clear. Secondly, there's an important theoretical reason. Was the church to give up its capacity to transform people, to give up these devices, like for example the Pieta? The Pieta is an earthquake. The Pieta, take a look at it. It's the idea that God is not some Zeus-like figure, but God is the broken body of a crucified criminal draped across his mother's lap, his mother who was crying at the loss. This is the expression of who God is, and the Pieta has led to the transformation of tens of thousands, perhaps millions of people since its creation. The Pieta is one of the reasons why people like me and these people over there and these people in that church there care about this stuff, because we've seen who God is, and people like Michelangelo have helped us see it. That's important. It's the art, the worship space is what we do. These are objects and things which are designed to help produce millions of people who will live their lives in dedication to the poor and the marginalized. And because, again, the church is the single largest charitable organization in the world, not to mention the 1 billion members who have their own activities, it shows that it's working. Now, why surrender all this in an homage to capitalism, which would be what selling is? To say the very thing, the savage capitalism represented by people like Jeff Bezos and Sheikh Mansour, to say that is the reason why the world is marked by injustice and inequality and violence, and to say you win, and to hand over all these devices for producing money for the poor, to hand over all these devices for transforming lives so that people will be living more in harmony with Jesus Christ and want to help the poor, and say to the So, Jennifer, tell us what is happening here today.
We're installing 3 crisis shelter units at the St. Anthony's Church Hall here in downtown Dartmouth, North Dartmouth. They're a model 0 to 7 unit. They will have some electricity, they'll have some heat, and they're going to keep people safe and warm this winter.
And who is the we?
It's the Archdiocese of Halifax-Yarmouth project, and Our Lady of Guadalupe has opted into this project, and we're going to wrap services around the individuals that are housed in these units.
So Archdiocese of Halifax, we're talking here about people like Archbishop Brian Dunn, we're talking about his team, people like John Stevens, Our Lady of Guadalupe, we're talking about...
Yeah, we're talking about the parish community, the leadership team there. I'm outreach coordinator at our parish, and so I'll be in charge of making sure this project is as successful as it can be.
And who's the pastor at that parish?
Father James Mallon.
Excellent. And so these are people who are working with the province. Does the province have a role in this?
The province has a role in the sense that we've come to a negotiation. The original proposal was put down by the municipality, and so the Archdiocese has been working with the provincial government to come to an agreement on what these structures should look like, just to ensure that we're not putting anyone unduly at risk. And I think we've come to a good solution. These units, they're not home, but they're definitely a step up from a tent or even the previous shelters.
Are we able to get a look at inside these shelters in a while, will we?
We will, yeah. There's some bedding in there, there's a mattress, a twin-size bed, there's some hooks, and there's a door with a window, so it does really feel like it's a place someone could stay the night.
Super. And so, while this is only one small step, if we had more parishes to do something like this, then bit by bit we could eat away at some of this crisis.
Yeah, parishes and beyond, you know. This isn't a forever home for anybody, but it's certainly a step towards the kind of independence that we're hoping people can have.
Excellent. So we need a McDonald's parking lot, a Starbucks
every parking lot.
Not just churches.
And private homeowners, backyards, potentially, who knows? Private
homeowners.
Yeah.
How did they contact you, Jen?
They can contact us at Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish. Our phone number is 902-466-6183.
Boom! See? I don't know how the light is in here, but here's a look at Dartmouth food banks, right? These are the food banks in Dartmouth, if anyone is interested in getting some food banks. And so what you'll see is things like the Salvation Army, St. James United, North Dartmouth Outreach, okay, fair enough. Father's Love, fair enough. Cold Harbour Woodside United Church, East Dartmouth Christian Food Bank, Christchurch Anglican, Dartmouth North Christian. So what you'll see time and again is, well, the ratio of church to non-church outreach charity is off the charts. And what I find is that if I'm going to, anywhere where, you're meeting various other people who are involved in quote unquote secular charitable organizations, the chances are these secular charitable organizations are themselves pollinated with religious people, whether they're Jewish people or Muslims or Christians or whatever. I was at an event recently in the correctional facility, and there was only one secular body represented, and it was represented by this secular body's chair, and the chair was himself a United Church minister who, when he's not working on secular outreach, is working on church outreach. So there's a ridiculous idea that tends to abound that not only are Christians, because Joel Osteen, etc., not working tirelessly to be Christian, that is to help the poor, in whom God has revealed himself in and as the man Jesus, but they're actually part of a massive scam, trying to gather up cash for themselves. And that's an idea that's only shared by people who know nothing about outreach, who know nothing about the service of the poor, or who've never been poor themselves, because people on the margins know that it's the churches and it's the Christians and Jews and Muslims and other religious people, Hindus, etc., who are doing what they're for. And these are stories that tend not to make the news headlines that much. So they're the two reasons for stepping in ice puddles there. Like, is there anything better than a nice bit of fresh ice to step on? One, all the church has is usually machinery for fueling the church's activities and outreaches to try and help change the world and make the world a better place. Two, that these artistic artifacts, these creations are created by people with the goal of helping people know the good God and do the good. Let's say Irish people. At the time of the Anglo-Norman advance in the 12th century, the Anglo-Normans said to us, "Hey, you're looking fairly poor." We went, yeah, we're pretty poor, but you have all these weapons, you have all these swords and axes and clubs and all the rest of it. Why don't you give us these swords and axes and clubs, and in return, we'll give you sandwiches. Anglo-Normans were big on sandwiches. And we went, hooray, let's do that. And we would give all our stuff to the Anglo-Normans, and in return we'd get sandwiches. And then the Anglo-Normans would use that to build their army, and then they came across and subjugated us and killed tens of thousands of us. That's the kind of short-term thinking that selling out to savage capitalism would represent. That's the kind of short-term thinking which would mean that, yes, we might be able to help this person in need and that person in need and that person in need. But the world and the violence which has led to these people being poor wouldn't have changed at all. In fact, the selling and the making these precious things commodities would be further doubling down on the grip that this savage world has on us. And so it would lead inexorably to violence, more and more violence against countless people yet to come.